Hi guys, welcome back to Style and Direction, a menswear podcast without the stuffiness. This is Ethan talking to you from inside a television.
Yeah, if you didn't watch the Instagram live while we're recording this episode, that joke is not going to make any sense. I'm Spencer and I'm normal.
I'm gonna find some way to like download this and post it. Maybe I'll put on. Hey,
gotta screenshot
Patreon
it.
content. Patreon content.
Content.
Yeah, hey Spencer, screenshot this because I can't. Oh, actually, I can do it. I'll screenshot it right now.
You got it.
We'll both get it. Yeah.
We'll both
so
get it.
Today we're gonna be talking. Let's give it a little bit of backstory. So we've talked about Brycelands, we've talked about Gangster Squad. There really hasn't been anything else really on the docket lately. So, which is why I've started to, I started a Google Doc or Google Drive. Yeah, no.
Google survey?
Google Forms, bro. It's called Google Forms.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started a Google Form so that way we could have people submit their stories and their questions, like, you know, how normal podcast would work. And so, that way we can get some more ideas and, you know, maybe at the end of each episode, you know, maybe share a story or experience or answer a question or two from people in the audience.
Which, I mean, we've wanted to do since the beginning.
Yeah, I think it's easier now because people can be, you know, not amateur, what's it called? Anonymous, if they want to be, instead of, like, having to actually DM us or something. So, anyway. As I was doing this, I was like, you know what? We should talk about social media because I feel like that's kind of like a big thing. And, you know, the podcast has taken less of an interview. You know, it's been less of an interview format for a long time where now we're able to kind of talk about random topics.
Yeah.
And the first question was about here, I'll just read it out to you guys. It says, how do you find how social media affects what you wear, be it professionally or personally? And I was like, well, this guy read my mind because I really wanted to talk about, you know, the importance of social media, not just for this reason. You know, we'll get into inspiration, but just how it kind of how we use it. We're both young people, right?
Yep.
You know, we use social media all the time. We're the little, you know, the young whippersnappers that are
we're always on our Snapchat, which is why we're called that.
Snapchat.
Yep.
It kind of reminds me of this great thing where I was talking to Matt Woodruff, who now works at J Muser, and I forgot what he said, but he's like, I gotta put this on Instagram, the only thing that I care about most in life. And I know it's a joke, but it's something I think about a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there was a time before I had unlimited data where I only had like a select like few apps that I had to use data, and one of them was Instagram, which was probably a bad move because that is a very data heavy app. So
yeah, it's pretty bad, especially now because everything like preloads, you know, like how far you are on the scrolling feed, the feed. I don't know.
The feed is fine.
Yeah. So let's talk about like our backstories with Instagram with what do you call it, with social media.
Social media.
Yeah. So apart from menswear, so what Spencer, what do you use?
I'm still on Facebook. However, I don't check it as much. I basically check our group and use Messenger, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I'm most active on Instagram, where I post a couple times a week. I'm on Twitter, but that's just I just look at it. I don't really retweet anything. And then I don't know, other than like Letterboxd, I think that's about it. There's not
what
many
is Letterboxd?
social media. Letterboxd is like you just keep track
people.
of what movies you watch, you have quick reviews. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Follow me on Letterboxd, everyone. I think I'm Spencer DSO, same as Instagram.
Yeah, I know Spencer and a bunch of other friends are really into watching movies. I mean, I am too. I just don't do it as religiously or as committedly as they do.
I mean, yeah, we go to church when we watch movies.
Movies are my god. Okay, so for me as a lonely child, I've always kind of relied on social media. You know, I think I remember as a kid I saw my mom on Friendster and I'm like, whoa, that's cool.
I want some friends.
I want some friends. And so I think I asked to be on it, and she's like, first of all, it's for like college people to find each other, and number two, none of your friends would be on it anyway. And then I remember trying when MySpace opened up. I did MySpace for a little bit. It's real. You guys want to hear a really sad story? I'm just saying you
Yes.
guys, but it's just Spencer. So,
I mean, we have two people watching the live
yeah.
feed.
The sad story is, all my friends, all my classmates from high school or middle school, whatever, had MySpace, and they all had, their top 8 or whatever. And for some reason, I thought that, oh, I have to show how cool I am because they all have to be on it. So I had like a top 50, which was like everyone in my class, or top 30 or 20, just because I'm like, see, I like everybody, and I was on no one's top. So
no.
it just shows you how sad I was and how much stock I place in social media.
I wasn't.
But then
on
I had
MySpace.
Facebook.
Yeah, I wasn't on MySpace, but I just want to say really quick, I had some family friends that were, and I saw their MySpace, and that was how I first learned about the SNL like Night at the Roxbury sketches, because they had that as an endless GIF of all the guys doing the head thing as their background.
Hell yeah, dude! That's a great.
Yeah.
Gotta watch that movie. Yeah, no. So I got on Facebook, and I think for a while Facebook used to be like the most important thing. I think that and like Tumblr, because I think Instagram came out in like 2009 or something. So
Yeah,
for a long
2009,
time.
2010.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and if you guys want to talk about how important social media is, that's how Spencer and I kind of met.
Yeah, it was on Facebook.
Yep, on the Fedora Lounge Facebook group, and
Because
surprisingly,
I posted something,
yeah, and I was like, hey,
yeah.
that guy looks fairly young.
and it's like, let's hang
it's
out.
kind of like a
because
thing
we
where
were
people
the-
don't like Reddit.
Mhm.
It's, I mean, we'll talk about Reddit in a second, but like, there was a Fedora Lounge at the time. The Fedora Lounge website was still going strong, and I mean, yeah, people posted a lot, but like there was no young people posting. It felt very
Yeah,
even
no, it
at
was
the time. I
all-
was like, this is for old people. Like at the time,
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
what the
Same
hell's
here.
going
It's
on?
like it was all old people, and it's like none
what
of
the
the
hell's
content
Photo
really,
Bucket?
Yeah, really appealed to me. I posted on the like "What are you wearing today?" threads, and I got some people being like, "Oh, look at this youngin'. They still know how to dress." But that was like, that was it.
And then alternatively, like no one would post on Facebook, or no one would be good on the Facebook group. So that's when me and Spencer first started, and eventually when me and Spencer started hanging out, he would always share the pictures I take of him, and we became like,
Yeah.
oh, look.
Yeah, because
there's
that was
those
like the
guys who post
pre-blog.
really
That
good
was I
pictures.
don't think I had Instagram.
Yeah.
I might have. I probably had Instagram at that point, but I didn't use it much.
Mhm.
If I wasn't doing the live video, I would go back to see when my first post was. At some point after we'd done doing the live, I'll find that out.
I mean, yeah. So like, that was like our Instagram. Like we would post stuff there because I knew that posting my outfits on like my regular feed wouldn't get anywhere. My
Mhm.
friends and family don't care about what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
And it was like a curated kind of feed, and also if we're talking about how it relates to now, it's a place to get clout, right? You get all the likes,
yeah.
you get all the comments, it feeds into your social currency, I guess.
Yeah, because there were a couple people
but
on
then
that page
Instagram
that I
came
was
out.
like, oh, these are cool. These guys are cool. I want them to think I'm cool.
Oh, yeah.
And now I couldn't care less about. No
But
offense
now
to
you are
anyone
the
on
cool
Fedora
ones,
Lounge
right? Now you
Facebook
are the
page.
cool.
Yeah,
the
we're
cool
the
guy.
cool ones.
But
yeah.
people want to hang out with us.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think, and then eventually Instagram came out, and I didn't use it for fashion at all, like until like a long time. I think I started posting more fashion stuff on my Tumblr after I made friends with my friend Andrew or something. I forgot who, but someone was like, "Hey, you should post your outfits there." And maybe I saw someone reblog like a picture of a guy in a suit, and I thought I could do that.
Yeah, if he can do it, anyone
I'm
can.
I'm as good. I'm as good as.
Was it that
this
one
guy
like
walking down
50
a
Shades of
cobblestone
Grey
street?
gift of like the guy in the shirt and tie being like the point, and then he points himself and then he points down to indicate come here?
I have never seen that.
That
and
is
I
a
don't
gift
think I
that
want
is
to.
very famous, and it's just like a skinny dude in a shirt and tie doing that, and apparently people loved that in like
There's a
2010.
gif of a guy. It might have been the same guy because there's a guy who he like tightens his tie, buttons both buttons on his 2-button jacket, and then like
Nice.
just kind of pulls it and like kind of like pulls it and like kind of straightens himself up. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking that probably wasn't a style Tumblr, that was probably more of like a Dom Tumblr.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I never looked into it. I just thought, oh, it's the guy wearing a suit. And I did one of me wearing a tuxedo, and that one also got a couple thousand reblogs, which was kind of cool. But then again, I might have
Nice.
been dipping into a different community at that point.
Did you see that Tumblr just sold for like $3 million after it was originally
Yeah,
bought
dude.
for 1.1 billion?
Yeah. It was bought
That's
by
nuts.
Yahoo, and now they're selling it. Just like how Yahoo bought Flickr, and then now it sold it. Like I think they dissolved their shares in it. And now it's like its own independent thing again.
Well, there you go.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Silicon
So yeah,
Valley.
I had Tumblr, and I think that's one way. That was like my first area of getting like inspiration from people. You know, like I know a lot of
Mhm.
people use Instagram now, and we'll get into the whole thing of Instagram. But like for me, that was super formative to me. I didn't go on any. Yeah, we talked about this before. Like I didn't go and ask anybody about clothes. I didn't go on Style Forum. I didn't go
No.
on Reddit. I had Tumblr and my Facebook group of like vintage people.
Mhm.
And so I would get, maybe not, like I would get like inspiration from people, sharing, their vintage outfit, or, asking questions, stuff like, oh, hey, how do you know this is from the 40s? And then from Tumblr, I'd get, like, I think that's the first time I saw like double-breasted suits worn like in a modern way. First time I saw like white pants, with sockless loafers or whatever.
And I mean, as we've said before, that's
And-
the first place you found like the Armory, Drake's, Bryceland's, all that stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
before
that was,
I
like,
like
before
I'm
Instagram.
pretty sure as I wrote like, yeah, but I mean not even that, but like just before I knew what they were, I just saw like these like really beautiful pictures, probably taken by Chong and Ethan Newton, of their respective workplaces, and I was just like, whoa, this is so cool. And I remember Czar Vlad. I don't know if he's still on Tumblr, but like that was one that I thought was consistently good. I mean, I don't know if it's good now, or maybe he's a follower of the blog. I don't know.
Maybe
But that's
he's
how it
watching
happened,
the
and I
live.
got my. Yeah, maybe he's here right now. Yeah, maybe that's like, because I know like Chase is like the Pop and J or whatever. Like maybe like he's like a menswear like guy who's just that's like
Mhm.
his name, his username. I mean, but yeah, like I would use I guess how people use the Explore page now. I would use the Explore page on Tumblr. Like I would look up hashtag menswear or hashtag suit, and then just look at all of it, and then just like and reblog what I did, and even
Yeah.
at the time I was like conflicted about sharing things, because I also wanted to be a Tumblr advice giver as the teenage gentleman, and you guys can look that up and look what that got me.
Yeah, how much of that have you actually like deleted? How much is there? Because occasionally
I
you
didn't
find
delete
old,
anything.
You find you
They're-
share
they're out there.
screenshots.
If you look
Oh,
up
man.
how to be a gentleman on Google, you might find. I mean, not all. Obviously, it's not like a unique branding thing, but there's a specific style, like styling guide. The italicized font, the way it's done. Like if you find like a lot of those, then that's probably for me. Just
boy.
saying. And they're all very thinly veiled about my own romantic mishaps, which is very sad. But yeah, so I guess maybe because of my age or where I was in life, like that was like the way most people use Instagram now is how I used Tumblr back in the day.
Mhm.
And I mean, I followed certain people. Like I remember, people followed me too. Like they would ask me questions like, "Hey, I'm trying to get my first suit. How do I do this?" And so I think eventually I moved on to Instagram just because. I don't know, like I felt I needed to have like some sort of brand on Instagram, like
But I mean, it seems like a
my
better
Instagram is like
platform for
me
that, too.
like going in and out, me going to
Yeah.
me eating with my family. Here's this random sunset, hashtag
Mhm.
sunset or something. And I was like, you know what I should do? I should post my outfits on there or something. But I mean,
crazy.
Tumblr still, I mean, that's how like the Gentleman's Gazette found me. I'm pretty sure that's how like I mean, a couple of people, even like I think Scott Fraser Simpson found some of my stuff on Tumblr. That's how I think he connected with
Wow.
me. And I think by the time I posted, I mean, Dapper Day also helped. Dapper Day is crazy. Like a hashtag
yeah.
Dapper Day. I mean, I saw it and I was like, wow, there's a lot of women on this hashtag Dapper Day thing, but not a lot of men, and also not a lot of good or true vintage men. It's all a lot of bow ties and suspenders. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna flood this thing. And I think, I mean, that's how like, I think for the first couple of years when me and Spencer started going together to Dapper Day, people would stop us and ask for our picture because either they knew about it or they, it was crazy. I mean, that's how I met my friend Louisa, because we both vlogged about Dapper Day. But yeah, social media is crazy, man. We're living in the age of now.
The future is now, old man.
The future is now, old man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I really don't understand why people. I think it's because like I've never had anything bad happen on social media. Like I've never felt like addicted to it. Even now that I switched to Instagram and I wanted to get like 1,000 followers on Tumblr, and I wanted to get 1,000 followers on Instagram. Then I wanted to get 5,000, and then 10,000 or whatever.
It's a cookie clicker. It's a game.
Yeah, I think okay. So, to kind of bring it on home to like the main thing here, a lot of menswear guys I think try and talk badly about social media. They kind of like have like a disdain for it, or even if they're not into menswear, they're like like random adults that you might know, and,
or it's like the
them.
hate for like influencers, which can be annoying, but I feel like a lot of people don't really know what influencers actually are.
Yeah, we can talk about that too. Actually, that's a good thing. But I was gonna say, like, how like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, like, okay, if we bring it back to Simon Crompton, who follows me on Instagram, so I don't exactly know if he's gonna listen to this or no. But I mean, and he knows I only have the utmost respect for him. But he did say we addressed it a couple episodes ago when we were talking about the dressing down,
symposium,
dressing up in a dress down world. Yeah, the symposium, where he's like, oh yeah, how maybe it wasn't him exactly, but one of the other people was like, oh, how do I know how to dress well when like people's concepts of fashion keep changing, as you can see on social media. And I think they're all scared of that because social media kind of promotes this sense of oh, dressing down is better, casual streetwear, athleisure all the time. And I'm like, does it? Because like everyone I follow kind of has like a very similar vibe, and we all have a very similar mindset.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I think a lot of people tend to view social media as like this thing that like you have to adhere to, and
exactly.
I mean, obviously it's constantly changing, but like you don't have to like. You can just scroll on your feed, dude. Like you don't have to like.
Yeah, no, it's like people talk about Instagram
as
though it's like only the most followed people. Like I don't follow. Like this is gonna sound so like 2011 like edgy internet guy. I don't follow like Kylie Jenner or the Kardashians or whatever. So I don't get anything about. I don't get any updates about that. Like I don't see any influencers or whatever. Like the guys wearing like too tight suits and like big tie knots and shit like that, because I don't follow that. That's just like you just have to curate your feed to be what you want.
Yeah,
it's easy.
A lot of people share that same thing. They're. I think it's because people look at the Explore feature a lot.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand. I occasionally look at mine when I'm increasingly bored. When I'm pooping or something. And Ethan poops.
Yeah, he loves to poop.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's like I look at it when I'm searching things. That's about it.
Yeah, and even like, of course, the algorithm is going to promote things that are heavily engaged with, and even then, truth be told, they may not be that engaging to begin with, just because of bots and everything. But like. I mean, the Explore page is really not an indication of what's in or really what's important. Like, like I said, like a lot of the menswear guys, we all follow each other. We all know what's in our respective industries and in our respective stores. That, I don't know, like I don't really feel the need to find out what's new. I feel like if you want to find out what's new, you literally use your eyes and look around like what's around you instead of like looking what's on the internet or social media or whatever.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean...
Because also, what's what?
Never mind. You go.
You were doing Seinfeld. I mean, even when I look at my Explore feed, it's not that bad. Like most of I could, again, I'm not going to go to it now because we're doing an Instagram live thing, but I could go on it and I guarantee you it's mostly going to be like, oh, here's like a pair of jeans or leather boots or like Aldens and stuff like that. That's most of my Explore feed. It's just like, yeah, I like jeans, and that's about it.
I mean, I think one of the bad things, if we're talking about the bad stuff of social media first, I think it really has defined what content is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like in general, like I think a lot of people, you put a bunch of, yeah, like you said, you put a bunch of shoes on the ground and you put it like on like a hardwood floor, and you're like,
Yep.
this is outfit, this is cool. There is no.
That's my yeah, that's my Explore feed.
Yeah, I don't get that. My explorers are. Let's just say it's different.
Okay.
But like there's stuff like that, and there's the whole thing we talked about in the photography episode, where it's very basic photography. It's not very special or anything, and it's it kind of has ruined like what's cool, like engaging content, like kind of that people like, and I think that's what makes Drake's and everything else so great,
Yeah.
is that they're able to it's like you have to find a way to make it like Pinterest but also not like Pinterest at the same time. Like I was reading one of the things that Spencer gave me, I think it more like put this on where like Instagram isn't you might not be able to see as much depth as like handling like a magazine where you can see a bunch of stuff, but I think it presents a unique challenge of how to communicate like like an idea, or like ideas like branding stuff or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's why you like Drake's, The Armory, Bryceland's, whatever, the big three, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
And often have in the past, but it's like how they all,
Yeah, listen back, guys. That's what he calls them.
I always call them that. But how they kind of like, really make it, I can't think of the right words, but really make it clear what they're like, they create an identity just on Instagram, which is how a lot of people view them, and that's probably a lot of the exposure, like the only exposure a lot of people have to it.
Yeah, and I think nowadays a lot of people who they use Instagram as like the main way to find out about brands, and not.
Yeah.
I mean, you could talk about how there's ads. I just burped. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Ethan burps too. Pooping and burping. What is he, human? I'm not an alien. Watch Invader Zim, guys. It's really good.
Okay.
But like, I mean, I can't imagine how else I would have learned about so many other people and brands without Instagram, like the tagging feature. Like I don't look at ads. I know. I mean, they're legally required to tell you what you're looking at is an ad. So I usually just scroll past it, and. But like, I think the cool thing is that when you've curated your feed or you follow the right people, you'll find it'll lead to good things. If the Drake's or I guess they're not really Drake's guys anymore. They've all of our friends who worked there with Drake's no longer work there anymore. But when those guys all would like tag like a friend who was visiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they would tag like a friend or something, you check that out. It's still very personal. It's like, I don't know. It's a person sharing what they think is important, and then you're following it, which I guess is the appeal of influencers, because they were able to to make a living out of that. They're just being paid to show off this thing that they've just discovered or this new thing. But I feel like nowadays influencers have kind of lost. I mean, I don't really know any menswear influencers that I actually like.
No.
I think most people who are famous in our circles, or at least, in colleagues or in this more specific niche of menswear, they're typically influencers because of how authentic and how real they are, because they probably own their own store, or they're like a photographer or something. They don't really make a living off of just sharing like, oh, here's my food. By the way, check out this bracelet I got 10% off this thing, or whatever.
And I mean, it's like, I personally... Again, not to sound too like edgy internet guy, I can't think of any like male influencers in like the true like influencer sense that are like the Jenners or whatever. I can't think of many guys like that, because again, I don't follow them because I curated my feed to follow what I'm interested in.
Right. And the good thing about, other than like TikTok, I guess TikTok is a good indication of that, but TikTok has a For You page and a following page, and I guess the For You page would be more like the Explore thing, and that's what it defaults to. But the difference there is that, just follow. I mean, you just follow people that you like. You know, if you don't
Yeah.
care about what the algorithm is trying to show you, you know, and I still get great ideas from that. You know, like I feel like there's always going to be trends, and there's always going to be, fads and different things people are into that I will eventually become into because it's on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I think that once it passes through menswear, it becomes more authentic. Like, I know that
Mhm.
Aloha shirts and printed shirts and the camp collars are like super popular now, that a lot of people like teaching men's fashion has all about talking about on Instagram, or on YouTube, I should say. But the way you see it permeate through menswear is a little bit better, because I think it's more curated, and it's done through a better lens,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, I don't know who can. I mean, I'm sure it started with classic menswear, because maybe that's where Fashion Week starts from. But people take influence from each other, and I think once I see it on people that I trust and know, and not because I follow them, because I actually kind of know them, or I've worked with them in the industry, or or communicated with them, I can take their word for it a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah, because I mean, if we want to get into
I
one of
can't think of
our,
like.
if we want to get into one of our like points of discussion, it's like how Instagram has shaped
Yeah.
our style, what we buy, stuff like that, which it absolutely has for me.
Yeah, let's
I
do
mean,
it.
it's like, yeah. So before I was on social media, and I mean, this is still kind of what I do, but what I did was I went to the Fedora Lounge website, went to the category that was like old magazine scans, and saved like 500 pictures, and it was just like, okay, how do I recreate these outfits? And that was how I developed like a sense of style. Now I do the same thing, except with old magazine scans. Like, we've talked about this before. It's just with like people that work in the industry. Like, instead of
And people that we've
copying,
actually
like,
met. So
yeah, exactly. Like stealing my friends' outfits. But
I
yeah,
mean,
so
hey,
it's, yeah.
I named Chase one of my top stylish people, because I literally love everything Chase wears, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I do have an inspiration album saved of him, but I think that I mean, I go on there and I'm like, oh, I feel that's such a great outfit. That's where I learned how to do
Yeah.
the turtleneck base layer thing, which again isn't new. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it before, as I mentioned in that blog post, about prep. I've seen it like in old RL ads or whatever, but seeing it on someone new and someone that I've met before makes it that much
Yeah.
better. And I think that's what social media does. I think it shouldn't be, the only place you get something, but it should be like a place to kind of get additional inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
like wearing sockless loafers is kind of weird sometimes, but then when you see it kind of done in the right context, it makes you trust it a little bit more. I'm
Exactly.
trying to think of like I mean, I get influenced a lot. I copy outfits a lot. There's no shame in that. And I know, as someone who creates content as a hobby, I guess, lots of people will message me saying, oh, I love this outfit, I'm going to recreate it, or hey, I got purple socks because of you, kind of thing. So it works out that
Yeah.
way. But I mean, even me, I got purple socks because I saw it on the Drake's Instagram a lot. And I went through that phase of, oh, I hate fun socks. That's weird. Like I
Mm-hmm.
went all in on that trend, back when I started, and then I changed when I realized how dumb it was. And then I saw fun socks again by Drake's, and the way they do it is different and more fun. And I was like, I'm gonna do that for me. And then
Yeah,
it's crazy now
read
because
that- read that
all
old
of our
article.
friends, and even spent, yeah. I mean, my friends started buying socks because of me,
Mm-hmm.
and then they also see it because of Drake's too, and they get inspiration from both ends from it. They see it on Drake's, they see it in person on me and Spencer, and then they buy it for themselves.
And it's funny because
which is
now
the way it
I
should
wear
be.
I just wear white socks 99% of the time with everything. But even that, I got from social media because I saw you doing it. Then I saw the guy, a lot of different, well, yeah, a lot of guys that I follow do that. I'm like, hey, that's cool. And
Yeah,
now I
Dick
just wear
Cameron.
white socks
Yeah.
all the time. I
Yeah.
went through this literally today, where I saw a post. I'm gonna check it once again when we're not on live. I believe it was from Rogues Galleries, and he was wearing overalls under like a military overshirt, or like a military overshirt over overalls with like a work shirt. I'm like, this is sick. I'm gonna get overalls so I could do that this fall. So that happened today. Like, I made my decision.
I don't know if I want overalls, but I do want an orange engineered jumpsuit because it can do
Oh, yeah.
two things. That's
Uh-huh.
cool, first of all, and number two, I could do a fucking X-wing cosplay, X-wing fighter pilot.
There you
cosplay.
go. Yeah.
But I mean, I think one of the biggest things, I think most of the time it's like style cues, but the
Mhm.
number one thing that social media got me on was the wallabies. I saw
Oh,
that
yeah,
on
and
Matt
I'm also
Woodruff
at
and
that point now.
Chase. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw both of those guys, and then I saw it on Chase in person. Then I saw
Mhm.
more, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm fucking buying it. And I told Matt Woodruff like immediately. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm just saying that you
got
inspired
me.
me to get wallabies for myself. Yeah. And he was
Yeah.
like super supportive, and I got them, and they're great. And I've fallen out of the hype of wearing them all the time because I think I bought them like 2 years ago or something like that.
Well,
Um,
it's summer, and I don't know why, but maybe it's just because I associate like fall with like 70s color palettes and kind of like 70s style.
Oh,
but
yeah, no,
that's a
hey,
very
hey.
like fall thing.
No, I agree. I'm just saying. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of the thing when when you get a new pair of shoes or a new shirt and you wear it all the time, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
I
'Cause
I,
you're
I mean
excited
I've
to have
passed
it.
that. Yeah, I've passed that stage in my wallabies. But I'm trying to bring them back, and I still wore them all the time when it was fall and winter and
Mhm.
stuff. So it'll soon be that time in like 5 months when it's like December
Yeah.
in LA.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know, right? I know people are saying
Uh-huh.
it's end of summer, but it's still like 100 degrees out.
I don't know
So-
about you. This is kind of a tangent, but I still feel weird, even if
What is
it's like,
geometry?
yeah, if it's like even if it's like 95 degrees in like September or October.
Oh, we've talked about this.
I
think
still
that's
feel weird
You
wearing
are
like
weird.
aloha
You
shirts.
are weird.
I know.
No,
It's
you're
like
weird,
I'm just like, no, it's fall. Like, I can't wear this. Whatever.
Seasons are for weather. They're not time periods, Spencer.
That's true. That's true. I just
think
like
of it
looking
that
at the
way.
calendar and being like, I know how this feels. I know what
I mean,
this month
it
feels
was.
like.
There are literally outfits of me wearing sweater vests in like May.
Yeah.
It didn't get cold. It
That's
didn't
true.
get hot till like the end of May and early June.
Mm-hmm.
So take that what you will.
Okay.
But I mean, again, if you're putting too much stock in your social media, like, oh, this is out already or this is in now, what's going on?
Uh-huh.
You're following the wrong people and you're just
Yeah.
not using it right. I mean, I've come to a stage now that now that I passed 10,000 followers where I'm a little bit more selective with who I follow, and not just because of that, just also because I followed everyone I want to.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a lot for me to kind of like decide to follow someone new, just because I already get a constant stream of inspiration, not only now from brands but just from like people that I know now. Like I just said, like from Chase and Matt, and even now like our friends like Andy and Michael will wear things that I see on social media.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, that's cool. I'm gonna do that too,
Mhm.
And I mean, yeah, it's really cool. Most people forget about the whole sense of community you get from social media.
Oh yeah, no, and that's
Um,
huge. That's like one of the big reasons I like Instagram.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
that's how I've gotten to talk to a lot of people whose style I really admire.
mhm.
And yeah, without Instagram, I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't have found their pages. My style wouldn't be where it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, as a guy who's grown up rather alone for most of his life, friend-wise and even interest-wise, because again, Spencer was like one of the first fashion friends I met, and that was already when I was in college. He wasn't in college, but we're a couple of years apart, guys. Just so you know.
Usually one,
Um,
sometimes two.
Yeah. So I mean, like for me, it was a very natural extension, and I always love talking to people on it. If I see something I like on someone's story, I'll be like, hey, that's cool,
Mhm.
and it's led to a lot of cool friends. Like a lot of the Drake's guy or the ex-Drake's guys followed me back in
Do
the
they
day.
have superpowers? Are they mutants?
Yeah, the X guys. The X Factor.
Yep.
Yeah. Is that the one with Simon Cowell? I was gonna say Simon
That
Crompton.
is. Have you seen him? Have you seen Simon Cowell recently? Because he did something to his face and he's looking weird.
I have not. guys. Leave a comment below.
We'll post that in the show notes.
Yeah, there we go.
That'll be the Instagram post for this episode.
Yeah, I wish we also, had episode titles that were kind of a reference to something that we would say in the episode, but we can't do that because it's a discussion Instagram.
That's true.
Oh, it's a discussion podcast. What am I talking about?
We should do it like how I think you should leave names their episodes, which is a slightly incorrect quote from the episode.
That's pretty good. Also, you guys should check that out on Netflix now.
Is this the third one? The third episode in a row we've plugged that?
I hope so.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Fuck. I was saying something.
X-Drakes guys.
Oh yeah. I mean, they followed me back in the day, 2 years ago, when I started at Scott Chang, and then we hung out in person, and I think that's super cool. That's how I met Andy, except Andy actually added me on Facebook, and that was a little bit different. I think so I made a Facebook page for my blog, and then I eventually made a Facebook group. But the Facebook page, I think he messaged the page directly and said, "Hey, I'm Andy. I live in Huntington Beach or Santa Ana. I don't remember where. Same thing.
Okay.
How would it be cool if I hung out with you one time?" And I'm like, "Dude, yeah, let's do it." And so, it echoes how me and Spencer met. I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, dude, what's going on? I'm also young and like vintage menswear."
And somewhere in California.
Yeah, and then also it's such a great way. I feel like Facebook it's kind of like LinkedIn. It's obviously LinkedIn is based on Facebook, but that Facebook is a little bit more guarded in the sense like you have to add someone, you can put more permissions there. Well, Instagram is kind of like whatever you want to put out there. And so if people like your content, it's great. Obviously they don't have to see like your family photos on Facebook or whatever. Like they'll just see whatever you're posting, and you can connect on that front. And that's, it's such a big compliment when anyone, whether it's a colleague or, or someone random on Instagram, whoever they follow me, I feel kind of happy because I'm like, hey, they like what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, same thing. Like I don't get like as starstruck as I used to when I first started getting like
we can talk about that.
Bigger names to follow me, but now I'm like, hey, I know this guy.
Yeah,
that's neat.
Yeah, it's like when Mark Cho followed me. I don't know if he still does. Now that I have so many, I feel like that.
You don't need Mark Cho.
Well, not that I don't need Mark Cho, but what I mean is like I can't tell if they unfollow me now.
Yeah.
And as Ethan Newton said, it can be kind of political at times. The more and more connected you get, and the bigger you get in menswear, like, oh, you have to follow this guy because you have to show some support. He didn't say this. I'm just assuming this is what he means, which is why he
unfollowed everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's starting to build it up now again with like people he actually is like friends with in real life. And I'm sad that I am not in that list because I've only met him the one time.
Oh man, betrayal.
But betrayal. Top 10 anime betrayals. I think it's still. I used to be very starstruck like you, and it still is a huge compliment. And now I'm kind of like, I'd rather have. I think what makes me happiest the most is when people go out of their way to message me and say, hey. Not like a compliment. I'm just saying like when people message me like, hey, I need some help, or hey, how do I do this look? And I tell them, and then they're like, oh, hey, I wasn't expecting you to respond. I'm like, oh yeah, dude, of course not. It's like two things. One thing is like, of course, I'm trying to be a nice guy, and I'm not trying to be like a crazy famous influencer because I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't have like 10,000. While like let's say Blake Scott, who's got like 500,000 or whatever. I'm sure he doesn't check all of his Instagram DMs or whatever. But also because I'm a very lonely person and I have nothing better to do than to answer someone's question.
Well, also because on social media, I know that you try to put out an image of yourself that is very, like, unpretentious, I guess. Like, that's why, you talk about this a lot, about how that's why in your stories you always like to, just show yourself doing whatever, like going bowling, having boba.
Which is what I did yesterday.
Exactly. You don't want it all to be a feed of just like, here's me at like fashion events, or here's me standing there seriously wearing suits. Yeah,
and I think, there's twofold to that. I think number one is that I started doing that a lot more when I got to be Instagram friends with the Drake's crew,
Mm-hmm.
because um, if you follow them, they also post whatever the hell they want, which is kind of
Yeah.
has this, like, kind of this weird shit posting vibe to it. I'm not trying to like analyze my friends' Instagrams, but like they have that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very New York young person thing, where people
Yeah.
are kind of going against this convention of what social media should be, and
Mm-hmm.
I actually think it is a phenomenon of being rebellious, because now there's an article somewhere where people are moving away from the really posed influencer photography and moving toward like the very, for lack of a better term, shitty or lazy type of posting. But there's like an essence of how cool it is about it too, right?
School
And
factor, which we talk about a lot.
I'm not cool, but I'm gonna just share stuff about my life, so that's what
Yeah.
it is too. And that's also because, like, I think, when I first started with social media, or with Instagram, there were already influencers, especially when I started getting into like menswear. A lot of people were like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
Blake Scott, or I don't know who was big before, like Mariano Diavow or whatever, where oh yeah, influencing is all fake. You know, they're all being posed, or they're all you know being paid to do this, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a billion pictures behind it. And for me, it's kind of, I mean, I do take a lot of pictures, don't get me wrong, and I make my friends take a lot of pictures of me, and
Yeah.
I return the favor because all my friends ask for them too. But
Mm-hmm.
I always was like, you know what, if I'm ever gonna be famous, I don't ever want that to be a part of who I am.
Yeah.
I don't want to be fake. I talk a lot about, and I'm burping a lot.
What did you have
Better
for
out
lunch?
than in, I always say. Yeah, Shrek, guys. Sad jokes explained. But
Okay.
I wanted to kind of rebel against that whole idea, because I think even now, when like, I think I met some people from like an old church thing, and they were like, "Oh wow, you're hanging out with us. Why are you so famous?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." Like, don't say
Yeah.
that. And also, like, do you watch my feed? I'm like talking about like not like my political views. I'm talking about mental health issues, or
Mm-hmm.
my mental health, or just like, hey, look, this is a TikTok of Spencer pretending to be BB-8. I feel like
That's me.
a lot of people don't do that, and I think at the end of the day, like, that's what I want social media to be, because it's,
Yeah.
if you're gonna make it, like, if you're gonna produce content that you want to be like, want people to engage with, or that you want people to think is authentic, you should be authentic on there.
Mm.
Like, I don't think I could ever.
Don't think it's like, how do you fake authenticity? Just do it.
Yeah, and I don't think, and on a personal, I don't think that I could ever not share stuff on Instagram. Again, it goes back to like my roots of like not really having anyone to really talk to and kind of share life with, because me and my brother, we don't. I mean, we're good. We just don't really hang out.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't really have anything, so like, I like being able to just kind of be myself online, and social media is really important. I mean, I couldn't imagine growing up in like the 80s or whatever, where if you were like a lonely nerd, you would just be a lonely nerd by yourself.
Oh
you know,
man.
at least now I can have friends to nerd out about,
Yeah.
and
And I mean, it's like, as we were talking about before, um, yeah, it's like, I don't have many menswear friends that, like, I could just talk about clothes in person. But yeah, it's really cool to have that big community on Instagram where I could comment on something and be like, wow, very cool,
yeah,
and
and
just
then
talk about it.
and it's like, I mean, on a personal note, this whole podcast is personal, but like, I think having social media lets me kind of do other things with my, in like, my real life friends. Like, I don't
Mhm.
have to like talk about suits with my friend Scott, because I know he doesn't
Oh
care.
yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah,
now I
that's the
have
point I was
someone
trying
to
to
talk
make.
about that with. Yeah.
I don't have to
it's
like
really
burden my
cool.
friends with my interests.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
That
that's
sounded
what's super
sad.
cool about it. And I mean, I'm sure this phenomenon is across all industries. Whether like, I'm sure like the art community has fostered so much just because of social media.
Yeah.
Or I mean, we were at an open mic couple like last week or so, and or no, or 2 weeks ago, something like that. And it's like, I wouldn't have heard about that without social media.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's super important. And to bring it back to menswear, all my friends, they all follow different people. It's not, even though we all tend to follow the same kind of vibe. We don't follow influencers. My friends will still follow other people who will then they'll show us something from them. Like I wouldn't have heard about Spear and McKay until All just would have talked to me about it, and then I wouldn't have
Yep.
seen it because if you do it on say on your desktop or fucking whatever, you're not. I don't really feel like I'm gonna look up another brand, right? But if All just like, hey, I posted a picture about it on my feed, you can check it out. I'm like, oh, hey, that's actually pretty nice.
Mhm.
I'll check out whatever this brand is.
I mean, that's
And
also great about having
so many
like
things like that.
menswear group chats, which Ethan and I are in a couple. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we can. That's how we geek out. That's how we share. It's like, oh, here's what I just bought or whatever, or we have a chat with a couple of our friends who tend to frequent flea markets, and so me, who works on most days that the flea markets are happening, I can just text them and be like, hey, here's what I'm looking for. Like,
Even though we
find
haven't
it for
found
me.
that yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna remind him. I feel like Long Beach is on Sunday, so maybe we'll find it then.
Yeah. I mean, I
Hmm.
can't imagine how. I mean, I wouldn't be this famous if I wasn't quote famous.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for social media, because I think that if we talk about the dressing down part of fashion, I think that social media has helped democratize fashion.
Hmm.
Anyone can get the same inspiration. Like it's not like like say if it was in the 80s, you'd have to read an Alan Flusser book or a Bruce Boyer book just to kind of get nuggets of information.
Yeah. Now
And
it's absolutely more. It's way more easy to find like very niche
yeah,
styles if you're into it.
and I think that if you think it should be easier because of how available it is, I think that's when you're falling into that trap of like, oh, the explore page should all be good. I think it just means that if you really care about it, you'll look harder and you'll find it. you
Yeah.
know and so yeah, I mean, if we want to bring this back to the actual question that we got, I personally, I don't think, I may not recognize that I use social media for inspiration, but I get it subconsciously just because I like following people. I like seeing what their lives are up
Hmm.
to, and they just happen to be stylish people who make great clothing decisions and buy great things that I end up seeing secondhand. Not because
Yeah.
it's their job to do it, because they're genuinely like, oh, check this out. Like Ryan Cecil Smith will be like, oh, I'm at Sid Mashburn,
Uh
I'm gonna
huh.
buy this thing, and I'm like, oh, hey, that's cool. I kind of want something like that. I'm gonna buy something like that.
Yeah, and that's mostly
So
how I use it. I think I use it for like outfit ideas a little bit more than you do probably. I know you don't follow any tags. There are a couple tags I follow, but they're mostly like specific items that I'm
I
like, oh, I need more. I want more items on how to wear this or ideas on how to wear this. But yeah,
I do not do that.
I'm glad I'm on. I'm glad I'm on Instagram. I don't think it takes up. I don't think it's a detriment.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I
Yeah.
use it. I mean, I'm not like scrolling constantly. It's not like the stories that you have of like adults who get addicted to Farmville, and
Oh
spend
yeah.
hours on it.
Do
It's
you
not like
don't
that
worry
at all.
about
I think
you
I don't
don't
think.
worry about like how many likes or whatever. Do you worry about engagement at all?
I think I do it as a self thing. Not that I feel like
Yeah.
I need my blog, like my Instagram, to be better. Obviously
Mm.
that might have been a different case before I broke 10,000. But I
Yeah.
think now it's more so just kind of like, oh, I can see what people like, and sometimes it kind of sucks if I post an outfit or something, or a blog post or whatever, that I put a lot of heart into and it doesn't get really well received. And by that I mean it doesn't get engagement. I don't think anyone. I think most people who read the blog post or who actually care tend to like it, or they'll give me like,
Yeah,
oh, hey,
they
read that new thing,
comment on
that's
the
cool.
post. This is bad. They just like a ton
Yeah.
of comments.
This blog post tastes bad. um an office ref for you.
Hmm.
But no, I don't think I'm that concerned. I think also I know a little bit more about the algorithm. Like once you pass 10,000, it's a little bit harder for you to be engaging because you have so many people that the algorithm doesn't push you out to them as much. And
Yeah.
then of course some people might not be able to see it. There's a bunch of different stuff like that.
I think I cared.
And
I cared a
so
lot more last year, right when I was nearing 1,000. And I still check it. I mean, I don't check it like religiously, like I used to like really refresh everything to be like, okay, where am I at
yeah.
now? But I don't care as much anymore. I just like posting outfits.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I definitely go into a lot of planning. I mean, obviously that is my day job. I
Mm-hmm.
do work as social media management for Ascot Chang, and I help out with ideas for some other people. But obviously, yeah, it's hard not to like kind of create a feed subconsciously. Like I think every so often I try and break it up with like an outfit of mine with like a photography or pictures of someone
Mm-hmm.
else that I've taken, or something really personal. So I change it up, but I think I don't like color block it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I have such a disdain toward like influencer stuff is because I have friends who do that kind of thing,
And you
or
hate those friends.
and I and I hate those people. But no, I think I'm just trying to like kind of subvert like their expectations of what Instagram should be, and
Man.
yeah.
You're like Ryan Johnson
And obviously
over
Instagram
here.
is not
No,
the
not
only
sorry,
thing.
not Ryan Johnson. Colin Trevorrow.
Why?
He has said in interviews that his big thing is he likes subverting audience expectations, and I think most of the time doesn't work out.
You mean his one movie Jurassic World?
He had Book of
What
Henry.
else did he do? Oh
Book
my
of
God.
Henry, almost Star Wars
No.
Episode 9.
By the way, on the subject of Ryan Johnson, he's great, and
Yep.
people are stupid for hating him. I like how they're talking about how this is this is another tangent.
That's
I like how
okay.
people are talking about how he's always like secretly going to be fired, but he just had an interview about his like next trilogy, and it's like
Uh-huh.
he wouldn't have had that if he was secretly fired.
Nope.
I'm not a Ryan Johnson conspiracy theorist. But I mean, we didn't get to talk too much about like about Reddit or anything, but that's also one place I think I get a lot of inspiration from, and I think
Reddit, I feel like, is a little bit different.
well, yeah, it is social media in a sense though.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say like I think one reason why I don't use the Explore page or I don't follow hashtags a lot is because a lot of my friends or a lot of threads on Reddit, they update fairly regularly. Like there's "What are you wearing today?" posts 3 times a week there, so I'm able to see like more Japanese style, like Evan Kanori and engineered garments. I don't have to look up engineered garments every time I want to see a fit like that.
Yeah.
And it's something apart from my phone that takes a little bit more intent because I'm using it from my desktop or my laptop, I should say. And
Mhm.
so it's definitely a it's a cool spot. There's not really a lot for classic menswear in there, but if you want to explore more, I think if you want to explore more with fashion, you will.
Yeah.
If like with social media, like if you keep using the Explore page, you're being lazy. You're not seeking out people. You're not looking at saying, oh hey, Ethan took mentioned this. Why don't I look at what that is? I shouldn't have to
Uh-huh.
rely on people. And I don't think, I mean, my blog isn't like that either. Like I tag a lot of other articles that I think explain things better than I can. So it's like I don't, social media is not supposed to be like an endless feed of things that are good for you. There's
And-
still going to be that sense of exploring for yourself and seeking out things and following engaging original people.
And to bring it back to an earlier point you said, where a lot of people
Yeah.
use social media to like figure out what's in and out, and this is something that In-N-Out Burger, and this is something that Ethan and I have talked about like every episode. But it's like if that's really what you're worried about, then you're doing it wrong. Like
Yeah, you're not really into fashion then, or menswear.
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
like if you find something you like and you're like, oh, this was posted 2 years ago. Do people still think it's cool? If you think it's cool, then baby, it's cool. Just
Yeah,
go with
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
I go in circles all the time. Like I'll look
Uh-huh.
at, like old casual wear or whatever.
Mhm.
I wonder if we're gonna look back at like the early 2010s and be like, whoa, that's dope.
I've been trying to figure out, because I had a big discussion not a big discussion, but like I was talking with Jay on a long car ride about what the nostalgia for the late 2000s is going to be, and I decided it's going to be scene and emo. That's what's going to be like the big nostalgia, like fashion wave that's going to come back.
Uh-huh.
I'm still trying to figure out what it's going to be for like early 2010s. Because I can't think of I think that's a really boring time.
I think boho's gonna come back.
Okay, I could see that. Maybe like early
Boho.
hipster style.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it's gonna be. I feel like it. That's what
Okay,
that's what
we're calling our shot now. Like,
yeah, we'll come back. Yeah, guys, call us out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that oh wow, there's another great question on here that we should have addressed, but I guess we'll do it next time.
I guess.
But yeah, I think that should be everything I want to talk about social media.
Yeah, because we don't want to talk about like We don't want to talk about like the industry. What are we at right now?
54 minutes.
54 minutes. Short episode for us.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
again,
okay.
I think the industry kind of gets, I mean, it's, again, Spencer and I follow brands that have a good sense of what's going on, you know? But in general, social media has been really, I mean, it's been good for everything, you know? It's been great for your local bakery. It's been great for Nordstrom. It's been great for
There are
Drake's,
literally no problems.
Yeah, I think again the issue is people think, you know, the whole fake influencer stuff. But if you're a smart person, you'll be able to see through it, you know. And but maybe then, what if Ethan Newton tags Omega? Turns out he's being paid by Omega the whole time.
Oh,
you know?
my God.
Everything I know is wrong. But the kicker there is, I can't afford Omega to begin with, so I physically can't buy this thing that they're
You can't be
promoting.
influenced.
Nope. I think that's also, I think that's also a big thing. Like, people, you know, especially feel bad for like YouTubers who do this whole thing, like who promote like different watches and all that kind of stuff. And clearly it must be working because they end up having repeat business or whatever. But I'm like, who the hell is able to buy a fucking watch like every week or every day, you know?
Yeah.
And buy, you know, like, you know, $20 bamboo t-shirts from Essentials or something, you know? Like, I still wear my same undershirts from like 2 years. They may not look as great, they don't smell, you know, they might have like faded or have like small pit stains, but they're undershirts, like no one sees them.
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. So it's,
and
like,
we should do another YouTuber episode.
we should also talk about like struggle, like liking menswear but also being a poor person. I say that, but then I remember I have bought Alden's before, so
that's true.
Yeah, maybe we should say how to be a menswear enthusiast and being
without
a 20-year-old.
breaking the bank.
Here's the thing: you live with your parents. That way, you can buy as much Alden's as you want.
You don't have to pay rent. You can just buy clothes
until they fucking kick you out. You know. Yeah. We're not spoiled children, I promise you. But yeah, let's answer one question here. One that's a little bit shorter. And for those of you who don't know, we have a Google, if you didn't listen to the beginning, but we do have a Google form for style and direction that you're able to go in there and send us, you know, a story or a question or whatever you want us to read on here, and you're able to, you know, leave your name if you want to, or, you know, come up with some sort of nickname or whatever. We'll have that link in the episode description, and it is on my story highlight. If you go into the podcast highlight part, there's always like a little bit on there. If you just keep scrolling, you'll find a place to swipe up, and you'll be able to leave the thing. Because I actually don't know if there's going to be show notes for this. It's just more of a discussion.
I mean, it's currently the link in my bio, and I'll probably post it on my story a couple times before we do the next episode. Yeah.
So here we go. Hey, I wanted to talk about loafers and suits. What are the rules in terms of how formal they are? What type of loafers are best in a business environment, and should they be worn? Thanks. That comes to us from what's the name here? Al Dente.
Al Dente.
I'm gonna call you Pasta.
Okay.
So what's up, Pasta? So as the resident loafer wearer here, I know that Spencer has his own
I mean, I have one pair of loafers.
Yeah, I mean, and it took you a while to get into loafers too.
Yeah, and I want more, but I still am a penny loafer guy. I really like penny loafers. I just want like suede penny loafers and different color penny loafers.
Yeah. So number one, loafers are inherently casual, in the broad sense. Okay, just like how derbies are inherently casual compared to Oxfords, but I definitely wear them with suits because of that reason. I think that this is one thing that tends to be very dependent on menswear rules, because, you know, when I say dependent, it's because people like to adhere to them, as where I don't. I think of it from a purely aesthetic or a style point of view. I like the idea of loafers because of how casual they are. You can just slip them on, and they provide kind of a minimalistic kind of take. You know, if you think about most loafers, there's not a lot of detailing on them. I mean, tassel loafers have more than a penny loafer, but they're still less than, say, a wingtip or a Blucher or Broguing or Oxfords. You know, there's no laces on them, and so they kind of echo that idea of like a hole cut, except they're a loafer. And so I use that when I make suit outfits because I like to kind of, in my head, it plays with like the cohesiveness of like one piece, because a suit is a matching jacket and trouser. So you get to play with that all together. And
I mean,
so,
it's like what, yeah, I mean, you could go on, but what I was going to say is a lot of the people, well, a lot of the reason that I think that like Ivy style is cool, which incorporates a lot of loafers, is because not of like, here are the rules if you want to dress Ivy. In the 50s and 60s, going back earlier, whatever, when Ivy style was kind of being defined, most of the time it was college students who just like didn't really give a shit and like kind of wore whatever. So that's why I think it's cool.
yeah, and that is I mean, the idea is still there, that sense of like rebellion, because for most guys, again, loafers aren't the quote correct unquote choice,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I like doing it. And then there's a way to make it formal, right? Like you wear a black loafer with a suit because black loafers or black shoes in general are more formal than brown shoes.
Yeah.
And then I like doing that with with chinos, depending on the style and the outfit I'm going for. So I think in most, to bring back to your question here, if you want to talk about the rules, they are definitely under derbies because they are loafers, but they're definitely able to be worn in a business environment. If you want to do, I would probably start you off on penny loafers. I think that's more of like the all-around go-to, because I think that tassels, they are a more elegant shape to them.
Mm-hmm.
They have a more elegant shape, I should say, and the tassels make them kind of decorative, and some people call them feminine or whatever. I guess if you, in the sense of generic gender stuff, yeah, they can look a little bit feminine, but I think that's the appeal, because again, you're going for more sleek. You're not looking for like, if an Oxford's like masculine, then a loafer is feminine. I guess if you want to lean into that, then yeah, I would go with a loafer. And most people really don't care, especially if they're penny loafers, because everyone tends to wear penny loafers, like old people,
and it
young
just
people
like
do.
yeah, slip-on shoes are everywhere.
Yeah.
There's a really great article that was on Dye Workwear like a year or so ago, probably at this point.
Yeah.
About the black tassel loafer and how it was worn in business and by lawyers and stuff like that. That kind of sold me on the tassel loafer, which I still want a black tassel. But I'm a penny guy.
Yeah, you're worth 1 cent.
I'm worth 1 cent.
But yeah, I think that should help answer that question. I mean, I wear loafers literally all the time. I mean, it's an intentional thing for me to wear a lace up, because I'm almost always wearing some sort of loafer, especially my penny loafers.
I mean, same. It's like most of the time when I'm leaving for work, I'm like, I could tie my shoes, or there are the loafers right there. Like I could just slip those on.
Yeah. So in a business environment, I would say get you like a dark brown. If you want shell cordovan, I think that's probably the best way to kind of combine like the sleekness of black, but also the casualness of like a brown hue. That's
there's
probably the best one. Or there's like dark burgundy, whatever.
Take a look at the last, because the loafers I tend to like are the more casual, like kind of like, like 50s like base whatever. Or bass.
Alan Eldman's the Walden. I have the Walden ones that I thrifted amazingly, and those are pretty versatile.
But it's like there are some more like the ones that you got from that shoe brand that I can't remember the name, but they sent us the free shoes.
Yeah, those are a little bit more dressy, and I don't really like, because they're Blake Stitch, so they're a little bit more, they feel lighter, and they don't have a kind of a heft to them, because I'm just an Alden guy.
But the ones that he got, what's that brand?
51 Label Co., I think.
51 Label, their penny loafers are very elegant and I guess slightly better suited to more formal
I don't really know.
if you're worried about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what your context is, how business, what your business environment is. I would err, if it's a conservative office, I would err on the side of not using them. But if you are, I think a black tassel loafer or a black penny loafer will get you through most stuff with suits themselves. If you're doing more of like a separate, like smart casual, everyday kind of stuff, if that's more of your office, then I would do a brown penny loafer.
Yeah.
Just because it's more casual, they'll go with jeans and you'll wear them more. So just inquire around. If you know that you have a business uniform or a dress code, just inquire. And see. Look at your coworkers or whatever. There's nothing wrong with loafers or with lace-ups. So it's really just up to you. And I think honestly, I think you could probably get away with a brown penny loafer or a black penny loafer.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
no one's gonna know. Really, no one really cares. No
that's
client is gonna be like, hey, I saw one of your guys wearing these loafers, and they're supposed to be wearing Oxfords. I'm taking my business elsewhere.
Yeah, no, it's like that thing where it's like, maybe it's just because I live in Southern California, but every time we get these questions, it's like, oh, I'm worried that like, if I wear a button-down collar shirt to work, I'm going to get called out because it's less formal. I'm like, does anyone notice that stuff anymore? It's like 2019.
Yeah,
like
maybe he could be in Europe. He could be in some. He could
That's true.
Work or something.
That's true. I'm not trying to call this guy
out. It's al dente.
out.
It's pasta. It's Italy.
I'm not trying to call this guy out by any means. Like if he does work in an environment where they are very strict on rules like that, then yeah, it's a good question to ask. But it's like, at least in Southern California, we do not have to worry about that at all.
I mean, most guys wear the really bad bit loafer, horse bit things.
Or even just like the Rockport like slip-ons, the shapeless like Rockport slip-ons, which I see like so many guys wear.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
So don't be that guy. Be a guy who has good loafers. You know, there's always Muirman, Alan Edmonds, Alden, and I'm sure if you're in Europe, Loaf and Tongue is good. I've never used them myself, but I know that they're popular because they're made by Skoke, Thai Bolajet, whatever that thing.
Mm-hmm.
That'll get you. So yeah, that was thank you al dente, thank you pasta for I guess you could have meat al dente, can you? I don't know. Well, thank you for your question, and for others who have made it this far, feel free to give us some more. Again, they'll be in the show, not the show notes, the show description. You'll find on whatever podcast app you're listening to. And feel free to send us more. Feel free to send a story. There's already like 2 different stories in here that we're going to read probably next time. And maybe someday we'll have a big... Yeah, maybe next time we'll have a big FAQ episode where we'll just answer questions and get them all out of the way. But right now there's only 11 in here, and we could use a lot more. So, yeah. As we close here, I'm going to plug this anime called Food Wars. It's really great. It's going to be into like cooking because they really explain everything they're doing, but they present it as like a battle anime.
Okay.
With some slight hentai, like when people, both guys and girls, when they eat the food, because they're like these like the best cooks in the world, they eat it and they have like a very, should we say, visceral reaction to it.
Okay.
It's really great. I got to show you Spencer, but it's good. Check it out. It's really great. It's my new current obsession.
I'm late to the party on this, but I'm watching True Detective season 1. That's really good. It hasn't come out yet, but I will. I am confident enough that I will really enjoy the Righteous Gemstones that I'm going to get a preemptive plug to. And the other thing is No Man's Sky just got a VR patch, and I've been playing that a lot because I like flying spaceships, and it feels very cool.
Also, Mindhunter season 2.
I didn't get to fly the Millennium Falcon, so now I get to fly these fake spaceships.
Oh yeah,
it's really
big
fun.
Plug for Star Wars Land, by the way.
It was so cool. Galaxy's Edge, awesome. Go! Don't listen to the haters, man. It's so good.
Yeah, people saying, "Oh, there's not a lot of people there." That's great. You can go on as much stuff as you want, dude. Who cares?
Yeah. It's like,
what are they gonna do? Tear it down? What that like? It's gonna
replace it with Aladdin Land, which is the dumbest rumor I've heard. Okay,
we're going to make a fun side discussion podcast with all of our friends.
Yeah, let's do it where we talk about theme parks or whatever.
Yeah, each episode will have something. All right, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. But feel free to give us 5 stars.
The bell.
Yeah, please give us 5 stars, or and feel free to send us messages on the thing. Follow me on Instagram. I'm at Ethan M. Wong.
I'm Spencer DSO.
You can follow the podcast at Style and Direction, all spelled out. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I think it might be
Star Tours.
Star Tours. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.